Welcome to the BXG podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as Gwen Stefani and bananas. I am one of your hosts, Brenton Bestwick. I am one of your hosts, Brenton Bestwick, alongside my co-host, the tragedy, Greg Filson. Greg, how are you tonight?
I'm doing okay. We're back in new lockdown here in California, so nothing really changes too much with me. But yeah, here we are. I'm at home. I'm having dinner. Just had dinner, and it's good. It's good.
I'll tell you what. We just drove out to the outlet mall tonight to just look at a few things. You know, the Grove City Premium Outlet's one of the most popular outlet malls probably in the whole country, mainly because of its proximity to Toronto, Canada. But man, 2 weeks from Christmas, and it looked like a Wednesday afternoon in the middle of February.
Wow,
there was nothing, and you know, stores closing early and making up their own hours, and Villa Pizza is gone. It closed, and that was there from the very beginning when the mall opened. So yeah, this pandemic has kind of taken a toll on things. So
it's funny because both places I work at are incredibly busy, and it's kind of weird. I don't even know how to really explain it. But good for me. It keeps me going. Keeps you busy. Very busy. Yeah. Very busy still.
Yeah. All right, so housekeeping. BXG Podcast publishes every Friday at 7 a.m. on Podbean. 7 a.m. Eastern Time, I should say. Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcast. I did it again. Google Podcast.
It's hard. Google's tough.
Yeah, Google Podcast. And other podcast services around the globe. The official social media BXG accounts on Facebook, facebook.com/BXG, Instagram and Twitter at BXG Podcast. The Instagram we use a lot. The Twitter we don't really use that much, I will say.
Twitter's a hellhole, so.
It really is, man. I'll tell you what, it is just a
I used
cesspool.
To be so into Twitter, and I don't care anymore. I'm not saying anything new to anyone, but I just can't stand it.
Yeah, it's rough. Okay, so BXG top 10 favorite shows, parts 1 and parts 2 are part 1 and part 2 are both out. So you can check those out along with. So here's a little funny story. My wife, at this point, at this point we pretty much know what we get each other for Christmas. There's a few surprises, but we're kind of past the point of trying to make surprises. So she bought me a record player, like a vinyl record player.
I hope that's what Christmas. I get.
And she said, "Give me a list of albums that you might like." And I said, "Okay, well, just go ahead and queue up the BXG episode 1, and there's a list of 10 albums that I wouldn't mind." So that's out as
Greg's
well.
side is probably what you said.
Yeah. No.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
No. The next episode, as we said, of the BXG podcast is going to be the ranking of the 11 Star Wars films. How you coming on?
I'm gonna binge. I think I'm gonna binge 2, 3, 4 or 5. Let me think. I already watched 4. I'm gonna get 5, 6, and Solo. I think I'm just gonna do it all tonight and tomorrow.
Oh wow!
Just because I've been watching other things and I can't sleep anymore, and so that's just gonna be my thing.
Yeah.
So.
Gotcha. So we're going to do that, and we'll probably break that into parts. And then, again, we want to encourage... Yeah, it's going to be great. We want to encourage people to write in and air their grievances when we do the Festivus tradition of the airing of the grievances on our December 22nd episode. We are also going to do... We haven't set a date yet, but we're going to do a live trivia night via Facebook Live and the Facebook page. So we're going to do that. We'll put that out there. We'll create an event and we'll let people know. But we're going to do that, and there's going to be prizes. There's going to be merch.
There's going to be merch. I'm just sick from the merch. I want my face on a T-shirt that I just wear.
I can make that happen.
You know, did I ever tell you, this is not at all, that there was a point where I thought about buying a billboard in PA on 79, and I was going to it was just going to be me giving the thumbs up, nothing else.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, and actually, I called the company and everything, and they're like, well, what do you promote? And I was like, me. And like, but you're not even putting your name on it. And it was a whole thing. And they didn't. Yeah. I don't think they took me seriously, even
though
I was just
going to cost?
What I want to do was like $600.
Oh, that's actually not that bad.
For like a week. And I was like, I'll do this. I was like, I will literally pay you right now to do this. And they're like...
Because they stay up longer than that.
Right. Oh yeah, I felt like if I paid for a week, I'd probably get a month on the interstate, and people are just going to I don't know. I have no idea why that never came through.
Right. Like this isn't Pittsburgh or LA or New York where the billboards change every 10 seconds.
Right.
Up here in the sticks. They change once a year maybe.
It was going to be the exit right after you get off the McDonald's in Mercer. It was that next exit. So it wasn't even a real exit. I don't even know if anybody ever got off that exit. It was just the billboard right there. I don't know what happened.
What you're talking about.
This just tells you what I was doing in my mid-20s. I was crazy.
Corrections and clarifications. I had no corrections or clarifications from last week. Did you catch anything?
I thought it was a clean episode.
Yeah, it wasn't
good.
too bad.
Yeah.
So we have a few listener inquiries. We have Robert S. wants our take on Floyd Mayweather, Logan Paul. Is it possible that Floyd throws the fight to do a rematch all for the money?
No.
This is of course on the tail end of Jake Paul, these YouTube brothers knocking Nate Robinson out cold. This is stupid.
I don't know the difference between the Paul brothers. I know I'm not the first person to say that. I never am with. There's no chance that either Paul brother, and if they're both in the ring fighting Floyd Mayweather, even touch him. They're not touching him. Right. I am not a Floyd Mayweather fan. I don't like the style of boxing that he does. It's not in my wheelhouse for that, but I respect it. I respect what he does. He does not get hit. And these two guys are both in the ring aren't going to touch him.
Yeah.
I don't think their sweat would get on him.
This is stupid.
It's so stupid.
It's dumb. I don't know who wants to see this. It's just dumb. Eddie M writes in and asks, what's wrong with Jar Jar Binks?
I just say what's right with Jar Jar Binks. When I hear his voice, it brings me back to the 90s watching ABC News with my grandpa, and it's Peter Jennings. Just brings me back to that. It's just that calming relief that everything else around me may be chaos, but I have Peter Jennings giving me the news. I miss Peter Jennings. David Muir is a good guy, and I respect him. He's a handsome fellow, but Peter Jennings was like James Bond doing the news. I felt like he was doing the news, and then he was off on a mission.
So the question was, what's wrong with...
I respected the question as much as it deserved.
The question was, what is wrong with Jar Jar Binks?
Right, and I brought it back to a classy area.
I don't have the DSM-5 in front of me to give you all of his mental health diagnosis.
It's expensive.
I guarantee it is. Yeah, it's a girthy tune.
Yeah.
Jar Jar Binks is clearly afflicted with attention deficit disorder.
What?
Probably some conduct disorder. I mean, he's always getting in trouble, so maybe a little bit of oppositional. Jar Jar Binks is annoying, and Jar Jar Binks was meant for children, and he's so annoying that children knew that he was annoying.
Right. That was the problem.
He was supposed to be the 3PO and R2 of the new trilogy. Instead, we just got 3PO and R2 again, which was fine. But I think everybody realized after the fact, and we kind of talked about this, everybody realized after the fact that Jar Jar Binks was so irritating to everyone that he got essentially cut out of the last two movies.
Right.
I mean, I think he's in Attack of the Clones for about 30 seconds. And I believe he's on screen in Revenge of the Sith, but I don't think he has any lines. I don't remember him having any lines. And I just watched it, a week and a half ago or whatever. So he's just annoying, and I'll get deeper into it when we do the Star Wars episode because again, Phantom Menace, man, do I have a lot to say about that movie. But
yeah.
We'll leave it till December 19th. Nerdist.com writes in. Well, they didn't write in. I just plucked this.
Oh, I thought, it'd be great if they wrote in. They're listening.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool. Nerdist.com asks, what board game should get the Queen Gambit's miniseries treatment?
When you first sent this to me, and I didn't reply with my initial answer was Monopoly. But then I really thought Go. Because when I saw Knives Out last year, which I love, Knives Out is one of my favorite movies in recent memory. I don't know anything about Go, but it looks awesome. And it looks like something that I would just like want to just become the best at and get really mad about it like they do in the movie. Right. And so I think Go, because it's not a game that people know a lot about, but I feel like you give it the treatment, then everyone's buying a Go board. And so that'd be my guess.
I guess from what I understand about Go, I don't know how to play it, but I guess it's extremely difficult to like learn how to play and become good at it. That'd be an interesting one. I said Risk when we kind of had this conversation amongst ourselves. And then the other thing that I had said was, and again, it's not a board game, but I would love to see them make a dramatic movie or miniseries or whatever adaptation of The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters, which is about the duel between Steve Wiebe and Billy Mitchell for the high score of Donkey Kong. I think that would make a tremendous miniseries, and it would show just how much of a bitch how much of a bitch Billy Mitchell is. Mm-hmm. So that would be cool. But that's, here's the thing. If you haven't seen that documentary, it's literally on YouTube. Just search King of Kong.
It's great.
Fistful of Quarters.
You're not going to waste your time. It's so good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, no other questions, no other listener inquiries. And again, we do want people to write in. We do want some participation. We love answering questions. We love maybe thinking about topics that we haven't talked about.
I want so many questions that we just have a mailbag episode. That's what I want. Great. I would love a mailbag episode. Nobody else does mailbag episodes, so we'd be the first. And that's where I would like to be at.
Well, that's not true. Doesn't Simmons do mailbag?
He doesn't anymore. He used to.
Oh, Colin Moriarty and Chris Raygun do. What they do is they get so many overflow questions that they'll do extra episodes that are just mailbag.
3 of my favorite podcasts all do mailbag episodes, so I just But I was pretending that we would be the first. We're pioneers in the podcast game.
Well, we are going to be probably the only place that you can get the challenge and the Mandalorian.
Correct.
So there is a high.
I'm stoked for the challenge.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. I've joined all these podcast groups, like on social media and Facebook and stuff like that, and it's very transactional. It's like listen for listen, sub for sub, review for review, and that's how I wound up listening to a 15-minute long podcast about the difficulties of being a mother. Just because I felt like if this person says that they're going to listen to mine, I should probably listen to theirs.
Is it called "It's a Real Mother"? Because that'd be a great name for that podcast.
I don't remember.
It's a Real Mother. Called. Well, I'm going to trademark it if it isn't.
Yeah. But I've kind of stopped doing that and just kind of started not targeting, but interacting with other podcasts that are similar to ours in nature. I think that's a better fit.
Yeah.
I think that the listeners of the BXG podcast probably aren't going to be listening to, maybe they should be. Maybe we should be, but they're probably not going to be listening to self-help podcasts and stuff like that. But
I'm helpless.
And we'll kind of get into that later with one of the things that I'm listening to. But I have found some good ones, and we sent out a promotion to one guy and maybe a couple others to get a little commercial that we recorded over the weekend onto some other podcasts. But there's some really cool people out there, and I do kind of like that community aspect of it, but I'm trying to maybe narrow our focus a little bit, but that's kind of neither here nor there. We do have a great show tonight. Lou Bega's here.
Oh, excellent. I literally just made a Mambo No. 5 reference this past week at work. That's weird. That is weird that you did that. I'm flummoxed, but man, what a banger.
Listen, hey. I'm
glad he's here tonight. I'm glad. He probably won't play that song,
I'm glad he is, too.
He'll probably not play that.
I don't know what else he would play.
Well, there's the B-sides.
Let me hear this is completely a tangent. Sugar Ray.
Who wants to know?
Familiar?
Who wants to know?
No,
right?
That's
about no. I know Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray. I just want to fly.
That's it. I just want to fly. Yeah, Mark McGrath. Yeah.
When we went to Disney World in 2012, we went in October, which is the Food and Wine Fest at Epcot Center, and they have what's called the Eat to the Beat concert series.
Sounds fun.
So they have this little arena. Well, it's not like an arena. It's just like a stage, and there's like a very small amphitheater. And Sugar Ray was playing that night. And I mean, I was from me to you away.
Did you?
Maybe that's not
That's
not a great reference because you're in California.
I'm far away.
But I was 6 feet away from Mark McGrath because it was Sugar Ray, and I pretended to be the biggest Sugar Ray fan in the entire world. And
who knows?
Yeah, sure, right. Yeah, pretend, in quotes. It was a ruse, but it really wasn't. But, I mean, it was amazing. They played I Just Want to Fly for 50 minutes. And,
What is another song by them? I can't even think of.
They actually have, like,
they probably have a bunch of hits.
I would say, like, 4 or 5.
And Mark McGrath is, like, actually a cool dude by all accounts when you, like, he's on stuff. I just don't. I didn't really get into
the Halo.
I didn't really get into them.
Every morning there's a...
Oh, yeah. I didn't get into
that
Sugar
one.
Ray.
Yeah.
What did I get into back in the day? I don't know. And then when I search Sugar Ray, it is first...
A lot of Matchbox 20.
Ray, yeah, I was more of a Matchbox 20. It comes up with Sugar Ray Leonard. So...
Right, well, sure.
As it should.
Yeah.
DJ Homicide is actually the first listed member in Sugar Ray, then Mark McGrath, so...
Does it go by...
They've been active since 1988.
That doesn't make any sense.
How old are they? Are they like 60?
He was on...
How old are they?
He was on Celebrity Apprentice. He's actually like you said, I think he's a really cool dude. But he's like, yeah, we play the E to the B concert series every year. It's like, well, it's probably because he can't get any other jobs.
He's 52. So being active since 88 is actually accurate. 20, there's 20.
That makes sense. Jeez. He does a show on XM, not Alt Nation. What's it called? Lithium.
Okay.
The 90s rock station on Sirius XM. If you're familiar,
I am.
He does like a whatever. Man, how long have we been going? We're already off topic. This is gonna be a long one. Well, that's how they usually turn out. All right, so we got our 6-pack. We've replaced the clip of the week with a different segment. We're just trying things out. You know what I mean? We're doing some experiments over here on the BXG. And then, of course, the quick hitters. We had some late breaking news, so we had to shuffle the deck a little bit on our 6-pack. But let's get into number 1. Mandalorian in Review, Chapter 14, The Tragedy. After some father-son or potentially master-puppy training, Din Djarin and Grogu arrive on Tython. That's what it reminds me of, like when he says Grogu and the child looks at him. It's like training a puppy.
It is. It really is.
To me, that's what it looks like to me. Okay, they arrive on Tython. A Mandalorian places the kid on the Seeing Stone and lets him do his thing. As he looks on, he sees a ship that any Star Wars fan would instantly recognize as the iconic starship Slave One, which can mean only one thing, Boba Fett. Sure enough, Boba, escorted by Fennec Shan, Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 5, and Mando square off, and Fett asks for his armor in exchange for the child's safety. At that time, 2 transports arrive with stormtroopers, and we are treated to something even the original trilogy never showed, just how deadly Boba Fett is in battle. As the troopers are defeated, Moff Gideon releases the Dark Troopers, who abduct the child. Fett, armor restored, clarifies his lineage, and says his end of the deal is not satisfied until Grogu is safely back with the Mandalorian. Din Djarin then heads back to Navarro to discuss a jailbreak for Bill Burr's character, Mayfield, Season 1, Episode 6, which was easily the worst episode of that season. Yep. With new Marshal of the Republic, Cara Dune. Roll credits on the best 27 minutes of TV that we have gotten this year.
Okay, so you sent me a text. You're like, this is the best episode. And I was like, you mean the last episode? And you're like, no, the Friday one, this one. The tragedy. Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't know. That's tough. And you told me the time, and I was like, man, is it? And then I watched it. And I watched the first 30 seconds, and I'm like, this is going to be the best episode this season. And this is going to be the best episode of this show up to this point. I loved it. It was 27 minutes. It went by really quick, I thought.
It did.
But it was still incredible.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, the last 2 episodes were like the best Star Wars movie we've had since Empire Strikes Back. I mean, it was just like,
well, I was going to say,
incredible.
It's the best Star Wars. It's the best Star Wars we've gotten since 1983.
It's so good. And I wasn't upset when the episode ended because it ended the way it should have with that like cliffhanger thing, and there was so much stuff going on in 27 minutes. It's like sitcoms and just half-hour shows are 23 minutes and nothing happens. We get 4 extra minutes of this, and it was absolutely incredible. It's like I said a couple weeks, I felt like we were trending upward, and we are. And I am so excited for what we have coming next. This show, it doesn't get recognized, I feel like, enough for how good it is. And I think we're actually going to touch on that later. But which I don't understand because most people are somewhat Star Wars fans. You know what I mean? Like at least a little bit. Everybody sort of likes Star Wars, and then the people that love Star Wars go obsessive or whatever about it. These are just good episodes. There's action. Things are, exciting. They're sad. They're happy. They're cute. I mean, when Grogu is on the stone, he's doing his thing. That's adorable. I mean, it's and
what
and you get new like
what did you
the dark troopers were really cool. I thought that was awesome.
What did you think about him force choking the stormtroopers a little bit?
I loved it in just a weird way. It was because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's so young. It's just like, of course you're going to do that. It's like, it's the magnifier glass on the ants when you're a kid. Actually, I never did that, but I know people did that. And it's like, he doesn't know the extent of his powers. That's what he's just doing. I mean, it's meant to be like kind of funny, but also kind of sick. It's a wink and a nod, but, a kind of a weird thing. But it's cool to see his powers develop and going forward, who knows? I mean, I just haven't been this excited about a TV show in a really, really long time, and I'm glad that it's coming because we were both, I think, a little concerned early on. You don't know. Yeah. You don't know if the Disneyfication is going to do something or just people. It's hard to write TV. It's hard to make good television. I know people. We did our top 10 TV episode or top 10 TV shows, and that was that was tough to narrow that down. But it's really hard to make good television. And this is great television right now. This is 100%. I'm watching this when I come home from work Friday. I do not care what else is going on.
You know how it is with me is it's always, the good and the bad. And so I do have some questions about some potential plot holes that I kind of picked up on that I don't think I was the only one that picked up on some of them. I do think this was, I texted you, I said, this is the best episode so far. There's so much packed into a short amount of time. They show us Boba Fett's cool without the armor, and he's swinging the Tusken Raiders gaffy stick around, and he's cracking stormtroopers' helmets in two and just going nuts. But then when he actually puts the armor on, and you see him come out, and it's legit, it's Boba Fett.
So good.
It's just like, as a longtime Star Wars fan, and I've said, and I think I've said even on this podcast that, Boba Fett went out like a bitch in Return of the Jedi. Yeah. There's no two ways about it. He went out like a bitch. For him, this is like almost, for that character, this is almost like redemption 30 years in the making.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the hell, almost 40 years in the making. But that was cool. Here's my question, and this is the plot hole.
Let's not date ourselves on this, even though I would joke that I would use.
Here's my question about the plot hole that I picked up on, and like I said, I saw some other people pick up on this as well. So you're telling me I'm Boba Fett, right?
Okay.
I have the choice of I can try to go to you and get my armor, or Cobb Vanth and get my armor. And here's the thing: we established Cobb Vanth, Timothy Olyphant, the first episode, very cool character. But this is like the difference between going to Jake Paul and trying to get your armor back against Mike Tyson.
Right.
Why track this guy halfway across the galaxy and especially when you have Fennec, who is an established, she was an Imperial sharpshooter, and Cobb Vanth took his helmet off all the time. She could have just capped him from distance, from range, pulling up from Curryland, and then he just strolls in and takes what's his. I don't know. I mean, it served the story well, but it is kind of a plot hole to me anyway. I'm nervous about the Bill Burr thing because I hated that episode.
I am very nervous about that.
Which was like I said, episode 6 of season 1, the jailbreak episode. It was the worst episode of that season, and I did not like that character.
No.
So I'm a little bit nervous about what they're going to bring to the table there. But it seems like we're going to get, at least for the the immediate future, we're going to get a Mando, Din Djarin, and Boba Fett team up, which is pretty damn cool. Where that goes, we'll see. The other thing that I really liked, and this was brief, but I really liked it, was just how menacing, and I know I've used that word a lot for Giancarlo Esposito's characters, but just how menacing and sadistic he seemed when he was in the room. He busts out the Darksaber. He makes the joke about you're liable to put your eye out with this or whatever. Yeah. And the way he's like laughing and treating the child, I mean, he is a child, but treating the child like he is like a toddler, and it kind of just showed you how unhinged this character is to a certain extent, or sadistic or whatever, showed a very violent side to him, which his characters are typically, like I would say, calculated in their violence. Gus Fring, the character, the name escapes me, but the character from The Boys that he plays one of the antagonists, they're usually very calculating. But he seems like he's walking a razor's edge, man. Like he could just do something batty at any point. So I think that's kind of neat, because you don't get a lot of characters like that so much in Star Wars. I guess you could say Kylo Ren was like that to an extent, but I did enjoy that. They just packed so much into such a short episode. I just think the next 2 episodes are going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
But I will say, because we talked about this, and I said that I was preparing myself for a bit of a dud with this episode, and I will take accountability that this was a hashtag Brenton was wrong moment.
Yeah, I mean, but everything led up to this being not a good episode. So to say that you were wrong is, I don't think that's fair to you. I don't think that
No, it's totally
okay.
Fair.
I mean,
it's totally fair.
Okay,
I was wrong,
but I wasn't expecting this. I was actually just I was expecting this to be an episode where we would, be like, here's some setup, here's some setup, here's some setup.
Yeah.
No, it's just like, no, we're coming right at you with everything that you weren't expecting. I love it. And like you said, it was just, I'm excited about what is going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. We do have a specific inquiry based on this episode, and that's from Bob Sakamoto. He writes in and says, who's going to train Grogu? Who saw him on the Seeing Stone? Who will it be if not Force Ghost Yoda? I'm going to go on the record, and I know I just took accountability for being wrong about this episode. I'm just going to say it right now. Force Yoda is not happening. It's not happening in The Mandalorian.
It's not. I said it. I'm going to say hashtag Greg was wrong. I don't think it's going to happen either. Why can't it be Luke Skywalker?
I'm going to tell you what my thought on this is that the reason that The Mandalorian has been successful, and I would say, too, the reason why Rogue One was successful, is because they forged their own stories independent of the primary characters that were in the original trilogy. Yes, we've gotten Boba Fett. Okay. But that, because the fact of Boba Fett being a Mandalorian, or at least Jango was this was the clarification, was Jango was a foundling, Boba Fett's father. Jango Fett was a foundling and fought in the Mandalorian Civil Wars. So he is of basically the same status as Din Djarin. Din Djarin was also a foundling. That was revealed in Season 1. So Boba Fett showing up fits this storyline. If you force Yoda or Luke Skywalker or any of those characters into this, you're again, now we're dealing with the whole small universe syndrome, where everything revolves around these 10, 11, or 12 characters. And it's just not necessary. The reason Mandalorian has been so good up to this point, and to my opinion, is because they've used characters sparingly from some of the other properties. We saw Ahsoka; she's one of the primary characters in Clone Wars. But I think whoever trains Grogu the child is going to be a character for whether it's revealed in Season 2, but they're going to be an ongoing character Season 3 and beyond. It's not going to be Yoda. It's not going to be Force Ghost Yoda. No, 100%. No, not going to happen. It's not going to be Luke. Because if Luke's...
What if it's Sebastian Stan as like a character with the same haircut, but isn't Luke Skywalker? That'd be incredible.
Yeah. You're referring to that picture, very talented artist on Instagram, Boss Logic. At Boss Logic, you can check him out. He did a mock-up of Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker. I will admit, it's perfect looking. There's no getting around it. It's 100% perfect. Don't you think if Luke Skywalker was training somebody of the same race as Yoda, that might have been mentioned in the sequel trilogy? Oh, by the way. You know what I mean? They're not going to go back and just put that in there and completely have ignored it through that entire trilogy. So it's not going to be Luke. I mentioned it that I think they're building towards, especially with the comment about Grand Admiral Thrawn, and I did some reading about Star Wars Rebels. I think that's going to be the character. That's who's going to reach out. It's going to be that character, Ezra Bridger. I think we're going to see it played by that actor that I talked about. I think it's going to be Rahul Kohli. I think he's going to be Ezra Bridger, and I think that's going to be who reaches out to Grogu via the Seeing Stone. But I think what is more important is we got to get him back. at this point.
Yeah,
that's kind of where we're at.
That's more of the important thing.
Yeah.
And just because I brought him up, I have seen Sebastian Stan in the wild in L.A.
I think you
Venice.
told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, just so other people know, and I don't like to name drop on this show because what else do I have? But yeah. I was outside of a restaurant in Venice, Jelena, and we were just waiting to go in, and I saw him just kind of racing across the street, and I was like, that is the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, what? And I was like, oh, it's Sebastian Stan. He's running because Cap's chasing him.
Probably.
And handsome guy.
Sure.
Handsome guy in real life. Yeah.
Yeah, but he does have that mock-up, like I said, that artist it was on point for sure, but it's not going to happen. Maybe as a prequel movie or something, or like an in-between movie, I don't know, whatever. But that's where we're at with that, and like I said, I think the next 2 episodes are going to be bangers. I think when we go back and look at this season, episode 2 is going to be the episode 6 from the first season, where that was really the only dud, or the only one that was really subpar. But we'll see. So, number 2, a week after we discussed the hybrid release of Wonder Woman 1984 and Warner Brothers' plans to use HBO Max as its own personal Netflix platform, Warner Media announced that their entire slate of films in 2021 will employ the same hybrid release strategy as well. This means all movies, regardless of the release date, including anything in the fall, which may be when we see some return to normalcy as vaccines are more widely distributed, will debut on HBO Max day and date they release in the theaters. All films will enjoy 30 days of no extra cost streaming on HBO Max at 4K HD resolution. The entire slate of films includes The Little Things, Judas and the Black Messiah, Tom and Jerry, Godzilla vs. Kong, Mortal Kombat, Those Who Wish Me Dead, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, In the Heights, Space Jam: A New Legacy, The Suicide Squad, Reminiscence, Malignant, Dune, The Many Saints of Newark, King Richard, Cry Macho, and Matrix 4. It is worth noting that the production company of Dune has filed in some type of injunction to not allow this to happen for Dune. But with that being said, we kind of called this one. We'll give ourselves, we gave ourselves the hashtag we were wrong. I think this will give ourselves the hashtag we were right on this one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if anybody thought we were wrong when we said that, then they were probably pretty foolish on that. This is exciting. I mean, like I've said before, I love seeing movies in the theater, and I love seeing them with a crowd and all that stuff, but that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And even with a vaccine and stuff, that is just not going to happen. I mean, this is going to take a while, and if you need to get these movies out there.
Yeah.
Because holding on to movies, you lose money when you do that, too. That's like a thing where it's just like I don't think it's a thing that people actually realize. Like, you're holding on to it and it actually costs you money because you already paid for other things.
Right. Well, we talked about
prior to all this. So
a couple of weeks ago, or maybe even longer than that, we talked about how much money Bond has lost.
Right.
Being in basically limbo.
Right.
It was in the several millions. They may change their tune on this as the year goes on, and some of these fall things they may go back on. But I think in the immediate interim, this is definitely how this is going to go. I will be surprised to see if other studios don't take the same course. I mean, we talked last week. It was $200 million. There was a bid for $200 million to get Godzilla vs. Kong on Netflix. So they're throwing around some serious capital. They realize they have money that they need to make up. Is anything on that list of movies that I read, I mean, other than Space Jam, obviously, tickle your fancy as things that you'd like to see?
Matrix 4. I didn't really like the second and third one, but the idea that they decided to go back and make a fourth one makes me think that they actually have like a good thing going. So I'm actually pretty excited about that. I mean, Tom and Jerry. Is it actual Tom and Jerry?
It's cartoon. I mean, it's cartoon. Yeah, Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. If it's on HBO Max and it's Tom and Jerry, which I love and grew up in, part of. I mean, there's all these little things, and I always say Seinfeld's probably 85% of where my humor comes from. But there's a little Tom and Jerry in me.
Yeah.
There's a little hijinks involved with everything I do. I'll see if it's on HBO Max. I can just put that on. And it's probably a 90-minute put it on in the background. let me refresh my Instagram,
right?
Get some laughs. I'll watch that. Why not?
I think Dune. I'm interested in that.
Well, yeah, Dune for sure. I'm not sure. I mean, I love Timothée Chalamet, so
sure. There's nothing. King Richard. I'd like to look into that. I like historical movies. We'll see what that's all about. Suicide Squad might be interesting with James Gunn at the helm, and chopping up the cast, rearranging some things a little bit. We'll see. Nothing really else. I watched, just because we've been talking so much about Godzilla vs. Kong, and I know I said I watched part of 2017 Kong Skull Island, and I couldn't make it through it with our good friend Tom Hiddleston failing to serve King Kong an aggressive amount of breakfast. I checked out the trailer for Godzilla, which came out last year, just to see if I might have any interest in it. If it's on something, I might check it out. It looked kind of interesting.
Yeah.
There's some decent actors and actresses in it. Maybe take a peek. I don't know, but yeah.
I've come to the point, and I woke up the other day, and because we went out to eat, and it was the first time we went out to eat in a really long time because I kind of knew it was gonna be like the last dinner before another lockdown, sure. And we don't do a lot of things out because it's just we're trying to be cautious, but we did it. And I woke up the other day and I was like, I got 50 more years of this.
Yeah.
And this, I mean life.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not trying to be depressing or but it's like, you know what? If these movies are on, why not watch them?
Yeah.
What's the worst thing that's going to happen to me? Nothing. I'm going to watch something. It's probably going to be like at least entertaining enough. And if it's not, I still have the gram. I got, I'm not going to scroll Twitter because I'm not doing that. But I'll scroll the gram. I'll put a little Sturgill in the background, whatever. It's just like, I think movies are not going to be hurt by doing this because they have to do something.
Movies aren't going to be hurt, but theaters are.
Theaters are. That's a problem. I mean,
some of the big ones, some of the big ones are going to be. AMC has basically said, I guess we'll die now.
Right. Well, also, I mean, is it karma for charging $9 for a thing of Raisinets?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
That might be it. It might be just it could be the movie god saying you could just charge, $4 for Raisinets.
Sure.
That might be part of it.
Number 3, we got some new singles from some pop icons. After releasing The Man of the Woods in 2018 and contributing to 2 Trolls soundtracks, Justin Timberlake has been relatively quiet. We discussed an Instagram post. He tagged himself back in the studio all the way back in, I believe, episode 2. He recently released a single with Aunt Clemen. Have you heard this? I assume you have.
I did.
Yeah.
I've heard I listened to both the songs.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll do the other one here. On 12/7, which was yesterday as we record, after years of making country duets and Christmas albums, and I do have to ask, why do pop musicians feel the need to make a Christmas album?
They like money.
Another pop icon released an actual pop song. Gwen Stefani released Let Me Reintroduce Myself. My name's Ho. H to the O. No. Released Let Me Reintroduce Myself and teased a forthcoming album. So you listen to both of these. I actually listened to both of these too. What did you think?
The Justin Timberlake song, I really liked.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this because I'm a Justin Timberlake fan. I listened to it with just the mindset of like, where are we at?
It's not his song though, is it?
Right. No, It isn't. He sings on it, right. And it's Aunt. But and this is sacrilegious, and even though I actually like who I'm going to say when I listen to his music, it reminded me of like a Justin Bieber kind of like appearing on something for the young kids,
right?
And I like Justin Bieber, and this is not anything like that because Justin Timberlake is why Justin Bieber exists. I'm just making sure that people are well aware of things like that.
Sure.
Pop.
New Kids on the Block is why Justin Timberlake exists.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And I love New Kids on the Block.
Well, that's because they have the right stuff.
They have the right stuff, and that song is their first album is incredible. If anybody, I don't have that on the media rack. Go back and listen to the first New Kids on the Block album. You're gonna have a great time. You're not gonna regret it for a second. I really like that song. I thought Justin Timberlake's Man of the Woods was like fine. I wasn't somebody that like hated on that album.
I didn't care for it.
And that's fair. It's fair, but it was something that was just like it was different. Nobody else was doing anything like that. I like Justin Timberlake. I like the sound of his voice. I think that's probably just part of it. He sounds different than a lot of other people, and I think that's part of the appeal for me.
Part of the problem with that was after 2020, and prior to that, Future Sex Love Songs, the expectation was so high. You know what I mean? And it was like, I get it. Artists they want to, quote unquote, evolve and try different things and stuff like that. But I think it's the example I would use is with the Chili Peppers is Californication. I was going to say this. Californication is much different than Blood Sugar Sex Magic, but you still have Around the World. You still have Get on Top. You still have those songs that have that high energy funk element to it. Whereas, what Timberlake did on 2020 was, in my opinion, as close to a perfect pop album. I'm not a big pop guy, but as close to a perfect pop album as you can get. And then to basically just hit the reset button and not really include any of that sound on a new album, in my opinion, was a risk that didn't pay off.
Here's what I will say on that, because you and I have discussed this, and I have Future Sex Love Sounds in my top 10 albums. And I've told you I think 2020 is a better pop album. It's just my own personal preference is that Future Sex Love Sounds is something I'd rather listen to. And it's mostly because 2020 is so long.
Yeah, the songs are really long.
Like, you can't actually listen to that on like a car ride unless literally driving from... If I'm driving from here to Long Beach, then I'm going to get the full album in, but that's a stretch, and I'm not making that drive. What I liked about Man in the Woods is they go off a little bit and whatever. I think he was doing something where he's just like, I think he actually came to terms like, man, 2020 was awesome. I'm not going to be able to do that. If I try to make a pop album, it's not going to work. Right. But to go back to this song, it was just good hearing his voice.
Yeah,
I mean, and and I've always had this thing with like certain artists, and he's in this, and John Mayer's in this. I think they both have a lot of like really good albums left. Mm-hmm. I think there's, I think John Mayer is just kind of the way he kind of just releases singles and things like that. I mean, he cares about this. He really wants to release something, but I think both of them have this thing where like they kind of want to do music for themselves.
Sure.
Because they were doing music for their fans for so long. Yeah. And when you do music for yourself, it's going to be technically perfect. Mm-hmm. That's one of those things. You're playing for like, the late era Bruce Springsteen or the late era Bob Dylan and stuff like that. But you're not playing you're not trying to be on the radio. You are not, you do not care about that because you're rich. And being on the radio is whatever. The radio now is for BTS, it's for Bieber, it's for, whatever's out there. I think that Justin Timberlake's next album, I think will actually be, it'll be a pop album, and I think it's going to be awesome. And I think it'll be like a 4.5 star on Rolling Stone. Yeah. You'll hear like one song on the radio. I think it's going to be an awesome album. I think people are going to be like, this is technically a great album. It'll probably make like top 10 albums of the year, but no one will care about it on the radio because he's not 25.
Sure.
And,
yeah, right.
Singing about his girlfriend because he's married and he has a kid. And he's boring because that's what happens when you become that age. Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to like put us down, but it's just like, that's what happens. I mean, I don't have a kid. I'm not technically married, but I might as well be. And it's just like you become kind of boring in a good way. I mean that actually. It's like because when you're in your mid-20s and you are not married and you're just kind of flying off the seat of your wheels and you're hoping, things work out, but that's where his good music, because it was poppy and it was catchy, but there's a lot of years left for him. He's a talented guy. He knows how to write songs. I mean, that troll stuff is really good. People forget like how, it's no pun intended. He knows what he's doing. Right. He knows what he's doing. You don't
name is Poppy.
Right. I'm aware of that.
I wasn't sure because you don't have kids.
Yeah, no, but I am aware of that. I mean, did I tell you that my name is in the album listing for Trolls, the first soundtrack?
No.
Yeah, if my CD got stolen out of my car, but if you have the physical Trolls first soundtrack out of a CD, my name is in there. I paid for the album at pre-sale, and my name's in there.
Number 4. No.
Isn't that great? Isn't that weird, though?
That is weird,
my name's in there. It's super weird. I did that.
That's funny.
I'm a big Justin Timberlake fan. Gwen Stefani. The song's okay. It sounds like every other Gwen Stefani song, just to go on that. It literally sounds... her songs are always the same.
But we haven't gotten a Gwen Stefani song. And listen, I love... in the 90s, I love No Doubt. You know what I mean?
I love No Doubt.
Great sound.
Yes.
Her solo stuff is whatever, and
it's the same song every time.
Yeah, sure. And, she's fun to look at and stuff like that. It's just, I think the main thing is we just haven't gotten a Gwen Stefani song in so long that's not, Jingle Bells or a duet with,
right.
What's his name? Blake Shelton.
Her being with Blake Shelton is just, for every guy out there, God, that makes you feel better. It's just like Blake Shelton with Gwen Stefani.
Yeah.
Aim high, kids. Aim high.
Listen.
He is not the world's sexiest man ever in any lifetime.
Apparently
in any multiverse.
Wasn't he?
He was, but that is a disgrace to that. Absolute disgrace to that. Ugh. Gross.
Gwen
Stefani's still attractive, though.
She
not
is.
going to deny that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with how she looks. Number 4. Some news from the forthcoming Disney MCU Hawkeye, Disney Plus Hawkeye show has popped up. The show, which we have discussed very little on this show, has released some set photos for starters due to a Chinese New Year poster in a set background, and it's speculated that the show will take place in either 2024 or 2025, which will place things in the Phase 4 area. Haley Steinfeld is shown on set as Clint Barton, played by Jeremy Renner, of course, will be training her as his successor, Kate Bishop. More performers have been attached to the show, including Black Widow's Florence Pugh. No release date has been set for Hawkeye at this time. I'm actually really excited for this show because of how cool he turned out to be in Endgame with the whole samurai shtick, and I think it's going to go into that a little bit. I'm actually really excited for, I would say, if I could, like, the 4 main shows that we know about, and we know about, like, Moon Knight and Miss Marvel and She-Hulk, those are whatever. But from the actual MCU movies, if I could power rank them, it would go Captain America, Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, WandaVision, Loki. So I'm really excited for this. Because I think Jeremy Renner has been in the supporting role for so long, and it's like he knows how much of a like the character knows how much of a joke the character is.
It's great. The whole character is tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
which I love. And
I think the best example is back from Avengers: Age of Ultron when he's with Scarlet Witch and he says, "The world's ending. We're fighting killer robots, and I got a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense."
Right.
It was that moment where it was just like, okay, like, I'm glad that the MCU gets the fact that Hawkeye is kind of a joke, but at the same time, he's cool.
Yeah, he's super cool. That's why he keeps making it into these things, because, like, at the end of the day, being very accurate is cool.
Right.
Imagine being very accurate at anything. Like, it actually is cool to be very accurate, and yet we make fun of it, but it's like, it helps. It helps being accurate. Also, Florence Pugh being in this makes this guy very excited. I love me some Florence Pugh. I have been within 6 feet of Florence Pugh.
Name dropping again.
It's a name drop episode. This is what happens when you live out here.
Yeah.
Santa Barbara Film Fest last year, she was in a pink dress. That is burned into my memory for the rest of my life, no matter what kind of mental disease I go through, and I'm sure I'll have many.
Sounds like, given the opportunity, your name might be burned into her skin.
I hope so, because she was magnificent looking. And she's actually just cool. So I'm just going to put that out there. But I'm excited. I think this is going to be, like you say, when you power rank these, I mean, Captain America, Winter Soldier, or Winter, I'm sorry, Falcon. Sorry,
I think I
Falcon.
said
That's
Captain America too first.
Whatever. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
That's going to be so much fun. I think they're all going to be actually really good. You know, not in the end of like, ooh, this is like going to win an Emmy.
Yeah,
but I think it's going to be really like, just for Marvel people, we're all going to be like, thank you for this.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for WandaVision. I can't wait, because there's not enough of that kind of stuff out there, and I think WandaVision's going to kind of fill a gap. Yeah,
it's going to be really trippy, and we've talked about that, and that drops, I think it was January 14th. Or thereabouts. I'm just looking real quick, and we haven't gotten Marvel anything since July 2nd of 2019. That was the last Marvel movie.
It's crazy
that we had. And I think that is part of the reason why some of this is so exciting is because now it's been about a year and a half, and that was, of course, Spider-Man Far From Home. Speaking of, I'm actually going to switch these because that was a good Greg way. Number 5, live-action Spider-Verse seems to be coming true. In last week's episode, we touched very briefly on Alfred Molina being in talks to reprise his role as Dr. Otto Octavius in the upcoming unnamed third iteration of the MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man. Today it became official via an article from Collider. Shortly thereafter, the IGN.com article updated to include additional information from Collider that confirmed that Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Kirsten Dunst would all be reprising their roles from their specific Spider-Man franchises in the Tom Holland Spider-Man. So it looks for sure like this is going to be live-action Spider-Verse. So I'll throw it to you before I kick the hate machine into high gear.
Oh, I was going to kick the hate machine into high gear. I am not actually looking forward to that because I like what they did, and they didn't do this, and now we're going into this, and I think it's gonna be super cheesy and not a good cheesy.
Yeah,
and I don't like that.
I'm concerned.
Why? Like you can just. Here's my thing, and anybody that has talked to me for the better half of, let's say, 25 years knows that Spider-Man is my favorite MCU character. Captain America was very up there, but I've been reading Spider-Man forever. I have a first edition Spider-Man Batman comic book that is actually worth a lot of money. It's in pristine condition. I read it once. I put it back in its sleeve. It's like the pride of my comic book collection. There's so many ways you can go with Spider-Man, and who cares? Tom Holland's an awesome Spider-Man.
Yes.
Nobody cares who, like, the villains or anything. You could go where you want. No, we don't need Doc Ock. We can go any direction we want with Spider-Man. There's so many. I mean, you don't even have to. You can have a very niche villain, whatever. Because Tom Hyder, he's so appealing to people. He's exactly, if you have read the Spider-Man comics, especially. I mean, if you read the older ones, it's more of that Tom. Like, that's more of Tom Holland. The ones from the '90s are kind of dark. I actually don't recommend those for a lot of people because I don't know, it gets a little too weird. But that early era Spider-Man where he's just like young and has no idea what's going on in the world, and that's what we need. And this Spider-Verse thing, as much as we both love the animated Spider-Verse, which is great.
Well, that's where I'm headed with this.
You can't. You're going up against that.
Yeah.
And that's a fail game there.
It's not going to be as good.
No, there's
110%
zero.
It's not going to be as good.
There's 0% chance it is good compared to that at all. You're just gonna be like, oh, well, whatever. And I think it's funny. I think it's like lazy.
I do.
I think it's lazy.
Well,
and that's my problem.
And
Marvel hasn't been lazy. Marvel hasn't been lazy up until this particular. I really don't think that this is. They've been lazy until this.
We talked. I think it was episode. Yeah, it was episode 2 because we were still using the old logo, like we've been around forever. But it was an episode. Episode 2. We talked about how they were bringing in, all these characters, and we said they have to be setting up the Sinister Six. Yeah. And that seems so cool because that was a novel idea where now you're having almost like a Civil War team up of bad guys specifically, or villains specifically, in the Spider-Man canon, which would have been awesome to see them take center stage. I would have loved, the goosebump moment in the original Avengers where they're in the streets and they do the circle pan around shot and they're all, you know what I mean? I would have loved that with Spider-Man villains. Do the same thing. Same shot with Scorpion, Shocker, Vulture, whoever, But listen, here's the thing. I'm just going to say this. If we see Tom Hardy confirmed for this, I'm going to throw a brick through my neighbor's window. I'm not going to throw it through my own window.
I thought you were going to say like Toby, or I can't think of his name. Topher Grace. Topher Grace.
Oof, yeah.
And I like Topher Grace, so I love that 70s show, but come on, man.
You know what? We're getting everybody else involved. Why don't we get both Venoms?
What? Let's get both Venoms.
Yeah, let's get Topher Grace and Tom Hardy.
Unless this is just setting us up for something we don't know. Like, this is like 5 minutes in the movie.
There's no way. This is because, and we've talked about this, because Doctor Strange's movie is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
And Doctor Strange is playing the quote-unquote mentor role that Iron Man played in the first Spider-Man and Nick Fury played in the second Spider-Man. This is what this is going to be. This is going to be live-action Spider-Verse, and it's not going to be as good as Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse because that was so different. They took it, Doc Ock is a woman, and the Kingpin was huge, and it wasn't about Peter Parker. I mean, there were Peter Parkers in it, but it was Miles, and it was just different, and it hit different. And the soundtrack was great, and the animation was great, and the way they made it look comic booky, it was just perfect. And if they're just going to do, like you said, a live action Spider-Verse is just lazy, and it's not going to be as good as the animated one, and that's a real shame, because they had the pieces in place to make this special if they just would have done the thing that makes sense and make it the Sinister Six.
I wonder why they didn't. You know what I mean? Like, that's actually like where, because you think of all the weird ways that the MCU has went.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of ways that could have went, and it would have been more like moviegoer friendly than Marvel friendly.
Right.
I think the MCU has done a great job of doing that, and then this one is just so not what they've been doing.
Right.
I mean, it's just. I don't know.
I just think it's like you said.
Like I said, it's just lazy.
Yeah.
It's just lazy.
Yeah, if that's what it ends up being, if we're wrong, then
I hope we're wrong.
Yeah, I just
I'm not rooting against this movie because I love.
I don't want Spider-Verse. I don't want Spider-Verse.
No, I don't want Spider-Verse.
We have Into the Spider-Verse, and
we have the best version
perfect.
of what that could be.
We have
the best version of that could be.
And we're gonna get a sequel to that.
Yeah.
We don't need it to be part of the MCU. Just let it be its thing. Let it be its own thing. I don't know. It's frustrating, but they're filming now for this Spider-Man, and I believe they said we're going to see something from it in December. So we'll see. It's not going to be out for a while. It's going to be past the point where we'll be able to see these things in theaters. Again, Greg Way, number 6, Dr. Fauci, the good Dr. Fauci, believes that stadiums will be full late summer to early fall of 2021. Speaking with USA Today, the doctor recently appointed chief medical advisor to President-elect Joe Biden told the publication he believes the vaccine becomes more readily available, he envisions back to full stadiums by the start of next football season, but also discussed tapering up audience numbers for events like the NBA playoffs and Major League Baseball. This would also likely include theaters and concert venues, one would think.
I mean, if I get the vaccine, count me in. Do I get it? I don't know. I'm not old, and I'm not
that's
in the
true.
medical field.
Sure.
And the people in the medical field, Godspeed. They deserve it.
100%.
What they're doing is unbelievable. And if you follow anything and you see these people out there, they're doing beyond God's work. And if I get one, I'll probably go to something. If I don't, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm doing exactly what I'm doing right now, which is sitting in my house and watching, stadiums with no one in it.
Right.
And, I still have 2, concerts that I paid for that I didn't get to see with Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift. And one I was going to pay to see, literally, I was going to pay a day before everything went crazy with Harry Styles. And I was going to see more Dead and Company and probably another John Mayer concert and probably Sturgill. I love going to concerts.
Right.
But I'm not going to go until I know that I'm safe.
Right.
And other people around me are going to be safe. Like, I hope he's right. And Dr. Fauci is not one to, just say things.
Yeah.
If he believes it to be so, I take that.
It's a lot of speculation,
It's a lot of speculation,
I would say, they've started, I've read that they've started using the vaccine in England and the United Kingdom. They're getting that out to the elderly and the frontline workers and things like that. I know that the current President Trump, is going to be signing an executive order to try to expedite the distribution of the vaccine here in the States. And I know the hospitals in Pittsburgh, the closest major metropolitan area, Pittsburgh, the closest large city that I live has said that they're prepared, they're ready to, distribute and things like that. It's just, it's just going to be a matter of getting them to the people who need them first, and then everybody kind of falling in line after that. And I'm sure there's going to be some people, I'm not one to, I get the flu shot every year, right? And I had all my shots and everything. I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but at the same time, you can't help but have some trepidation of just how fast this has gone. I mean, what if we find out 5 years from now we all grow a third arm or something like that? So there is that aspect of it, that it seems like this has gone so quickly that I have some concerns, at least in that realm. But this isn't by any means this isn't a medical podcast or a political podcast or
not yet.
Any of that.
Not yet.
Nor will it ever be.
Well, unless we should get Dr. Fauci on the show
to talk about the Mandalorian.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like not at all about medicine.
Yeah.
It's like, what are your thoughts on the Mandalorian?
But I really missed going to baseball this year. We had plans when the season started. We were going to take my son to his first game. And so that's obviously going to get pushed back at least a year, maybe 2. NBA, I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about my team making the playoffs, but movies and we in the same boat. We had a lot of things that got canceled. We were going to see Craig Robinson at the Improv down in Pittsburgh. We had tickets to Trolls Live with the kids and a couple other things, and that now have been. Trolls has just been completely canceled. They're not doing anything, and I had planned right when all this was going down, I had planned a trip to DC. We were going to go to a Nationals game. It was going to be the ring ceremony game for them winning the World Series, and we had all this stuff lined up for the cherry blossoms and all that, and it's been bad, and now comes, in my opinion, the really hard part for people who live where I live or in similar climates, because it's 30 degrees every day. You're not going outside. In the summertime, you could go, if the numbers at the public pool weren't high, you could go to the pool. If you wanted to go play disc golf or real golf or tennis or whatever, or go for a walk or whatever. Nobody's doing that now. So now it's just extreme cabin fever because you can't go anywhere and there's nothing to do. And I said at the top, we went to the outlet mall. It was like a ghost town. So it just sucks. And, my hope is that everything, works out the way that the people who are way smarter than me say that they're going to work out, and that maybe by the late spring or early summer that we could see this get kicked into gear and really kind of get a handle on this thing.
I was just to add, I had a trip planned to go to the East Coast and knock off a couple, stadiums, because as you know, and I'll add in this, my goal is to go to every baseball stadium, and I've done 2/3 of that now.
Right.
We were going to go to the East Coast and do Red Sox, and could probably go to one of the New York stadiums. Jenny's never been there, and probably go to Yankee Stadium. And then head down to Philly, and that. I also had a trip planned at one point where I wanted to go to the Midwest and just do all the Midwest stadiums, because it's really hard to do those stadiums.
Well, there's only 4.
Oh, you got to do St. Louis. Mm-hmm. And you got to do Milwaukee. I got to go to a Cubs game because I've only been to a White Sox game. And then you got to do Kansas City.
I've been there,
but that's a drive. You got to drive to those places.
Yeah, I guess Kansas City's got a nice park.
What do you think the hardest stadium for me will be to go to? Just on this line of things. Because I'll tell you what it's going to be.
Kansas City.
You can't guess it. No, Tampa. What the hell am I going to do in Tampa?
You're not old enough.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's not even in Tampa. It's in St. Pete.
It's in St. Pete. Yeah. Are they even going to let me in?
They still play at the Trop,
They check
right?
your. Yeah, they still play.
You don't get in unless you have an AARP card.
I figured as much.
Yeah,
so
you
I got a few years down the road.
Yeah.
And then it's what am I going to do once I'm there? It's go to the baseball game and then just hang out with Dick Vitale, I guess.
Yeah, there's some good beaches in Tampa.
I'll take your word for it.
So I've heard.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I thought maybe you were a Tampa. I thought you were a Tampa. No. I could probably have an avocado ice cream with Tom Brady.
I don't know how far Tampa is from everything else. That's the issue. Florida
isn't it in the handle? It's in the handle.
Listen, Florida's an undercover huge state. Everybody thinks about Texas, Alaska, Kansas, California is. We drove when I was in college one year. We did a week. Kids that I went to college with, we did a week in Key West, and we drove. We drove from Pittsburgh to Key West. And that's about.
I remember when you did this.
Yeah, it's about a 21.
Yeah.
It's about a 21-hour drive.
Right.
But literally 12 of it's just tip to tail Florida because it's so huge.
It's known for its length, not its girth.
Clip of the week for this week is going to be replaced by, we're going to try this. We're just trying it out.
Why not? Yeah.
So
just play a little game.
You were the one who alerted me to this, or alerted this to me, was that in January, Lady Gaga will be getting her own Oreo.
I'm so excited. I think I'm going to buy a pack for myself and then a pack just to store away.
I need to look at these things again. So the game that we're going to play is we put this out. We put it on our social media accounts. Describe what this will taste like in 3 words or less. We had a few submissions, not as much as I would have liked because our listeners are lazy bastards, but nonetheless, let me take. I gotta see here, because is the actual cookie pink? No.
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, I think so.
It's hard to tell because the background's pink.
It's hard to tell, but
the cream part is green.
Yeah.
Like it's straight up like it looks like the Grinch green.
I hope it's Ecto-Cooler.
That would be phenomenal.
Even though Ecto-Cooler is orange, but yeah. Whatever.
Hopefully it's Ectoplasma from Ghostbusters.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be a whole different thing. So we did get a few. Kellen C. wrote in on Twitter. He just said giggity. Giggity.
Lazy.
Jenny P. wrote it and said bad monster romance. But what does that taste like? Does it taste like, I don't know.
When we finish, I'm going to tell you what I actually think. I'm going to tell you what I actually think it's going to taste like, and I'm not even going to be funny.
What do you think it's going to taste like? It's going to taste like.
I think it's going to be like cherry.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be cherry.
Right.
And like maybe like a touch of rose water, just a touch.
I don't know what rose water tastes like.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know too much about rose water. You just kind of want like this is. Last year I did a catering event, and I was making martinis. I was a bartender, and this guy's like, "Hey, could you make me a martini?" And I was just like, "Sure. How do you want it?" And he's like, "I want you to just wave the bottle of vermouth around the glass, but do not pour any in." And that's kind of how you want your rose water. You just want to take the bottle of rose water and spray it around. I think it's going to be cherry flavored because I've never seen a cherry flavored Oreo. I love cherry.
There's a million Oreo flavors.
Yeah, but I don't think there's been a cherry flavor. And I asked my friend Hannah the other day. I was like, "What's your favorite ice cream?" She said cherry and mint chocolate chip. My 2 favorite ice creams are cherry and mint chocolate chip. I would love a cherry,
like
not
White
together.
House.
What?
Like White House?
Like White House?
Yeah.
No, I'm
What's
talking
vanilla
like
and cherry.
Like I'm talking like. Have you had Cherry Garcia, Ben and Jerry's? They can sponsor us.
No, because I don't eat cherry.
You should.
I don't eat cherry ice cream because I'm not a communist.
Why does that make you a communist? Cherry ice cream's delicious. You should have Cherry Garcia ice cream.
Is meant to have cookie dough or Reese cups.
You would like Cherry
M&Ms.
Garcia ice cream.
No, I wouldn't because I don't like cherries.
I don't understand how you don't like cherries.
When I go through and I get a milkshake and they put a cherry on top, I take it and I throw it back at them and I say, "Garçon, get this away from me."
Garçon, oui bon.
I don't do cherries. I don't do
should.
cherries. I never have.
I love cherry
I never will.
ice cream.
They're disgusting. And if cherry ice cream is your favorite kind of ice cream, then you deserve to be shipped back to Siberia. You Stalin-loving communist.
Cherries are from Michigan. Michigan's as much of a Michigan. Go blue. Terrible
Michigan
this year.
Michigan is
good baseball team. Good.
There should be 2 states. We should have 51 states. There's no reason for those 2 states instead of 1. There's two land masses. We're way off topic.
Hawaii is like 6 land masses.
It's an archipelago.
Get out of here with that. I have been to Mackinac Island in
John K.
Michigan. Beautiful. Smells like horse crap. Beautiful. Fudge is delicious. There's a lot of horses. There's a lot of horses there.
John K. wrote in and said that these Oreos, he believes that they will taste like overly sugared destitution.
Yeah.
Melissa B. wrote in and said that they will taste like Alejandro and Fernando.
I know that too well.
Alejandro.
That's an underrated song from that album, by the way. I really think that's a good song. Fernando.
What, if 3 words or less, comedically, what do you think these will taste like?
Comedically? It's sour.
That's what I was striving for here, but our listeners...
It's sour candy. That's from the new album. with Blackpink, because we got to get the Blackpink listeners in here, because the Blackpink army is strong. It's sour candy.
This is one of those situations where I don't know if this is going to be really good or really bad.
I think it's going to be really good, because we have been off the rail. People love the Off the Rails episode. Every time people talk to me, I don't even know what this episode is about right now, which is the title of this episode. We don't even know what this is about.
I had a title in mind, and now it's gone, because...
It wasn't Greg has it together, because that is not the episode.
No.
Greg is off the rails.
No. It was so tight at the beginning, and now it's just...
Incredible is what's happened to it.
It's just like drifting in the breeze like tumbleweed. Quick hitter time. Rolling Stone did list of the 50 best songs of 2020 and the 20 best TV shows of 2020. Notable was number 50, Fleetwood Mac, Dreams, which correct me if I'm wrong, was not written in 2020.
As far as I know, no. I think for a lot of people, yes.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. It's a great song.
Then my favorite song of 2020 is Mozart's Fifth.
Yeah, well, that did.
Beethoven's
Fifth. He released that early January, right? It wasn't late December.
Mozart?
Yeah, right.
Beethoven?
Yeah.
Whichever.
It was late. It was early January. I just want to make sure I get my dates correct. It was early January. I think January 5th.
Early January of January 15th, 1577.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Great song. Banger. I think I'm trying to think who did was it Cardi B? Was it Cardi B did a cover of it?
Greg Way, number one, was Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. WAP, number one song of 2020. Number one in making Ben Shapiro cry.
Yeah. I'm Ben Shapiro. I'm just so whiny all the time. I hate Ben Shapiro. I know it's not a political podcast. I hate him. I cannot stand. He is the whiniest little bitch there is. I'm just like, I cannot stand him. Politics is all he does is cry. I can't even imagine around him cutting onions. You're just gonna get tears everywhere. It's terrible. Hate Ben Shapiro.
This episode is a mess. He's
not listening.
Even on.
Doesn't even know what the internet is.
2020 best TV shows notable. Number one, Better Call Saul. Number two, Lovecraft Country. No Mandalorian on this list.
Yeah, that's...
BoJack Horseman was on it, but no Mandalorian. That makes sense.
Better Call Saul being number one. Sure BoJack, that's cool. I mean...
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Better Call Saul's really good.
It's really good. We're still catching up. I have not watched Lovecraft Country. A lot of people have told me it's good, but it gets we would know nothing about this, but it gets a little off the rails, which... I don't know anything about getting off the rails during an episode or something.
Not at all. I didn't read... Well, I guess it's 2020. I just don't see how... maybe it was too late in the year for Mandalorian, but man, that should have been... Furnace just kicked on. That should have been on the list of...
It's not 50 degrees?
Best shows. There's...
It's warm here. I'm pretty warm. I'm actually a little sweaty. And I have my heater off.
IGN reports that Oscar Isaac has been tabbed to play the role of Solid Snake in a live-action Metal Gear film. The actor, when asked any role he could undertake in a 2018 interview, said he would love to play Snake, and appears to be getting his wish. The film, which is being adapted by director Jordan Vogt Roberts, is being developed by Sony Pictures and recently attached Oscar Isaac as the lead. We talk so much about movie or video game to movie, video game to TV. I can't imagine a world where a Metal Gear movie is good because the villains are so out of control weird.
Yeah.
In those games. They're like next level camp.
Yeah.
You've got, the different they're all named after animals and the Psycho Mantis. I would say that if they could potentially do some cool trippy stuff with Psycho Mantis. Did you play Metal Gear Solid PS1?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So you remember the Psycho Mantis fight? To beat him, you had to take your controller out and put it in the Player 2 port because he could read your movements. And fun fact, if you had any other Konami games saved on your memory card, he would start calling them out.
It was super funny.
Like if you had like Silent Hill or whatever. No, I just don't think a Metal Gear movie will be good. I don't think a lot of these movies or adaptations will be good, but
I like Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, Oscar. We talked about that when we talked about
we talked about how much we love Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac's awesome. He's going to be in that Dune movie.
Yep.
Yeah,
he's great. I hope he dances like he does in Ex Machina.
Yeah, that'd be...
Which could happen. It actually, as campy as that game is, it actually might happen.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't think that's a good...
It's not going to be a good movie. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I'm confident that you are correct. The Russo brothers want to expand the Netflix film Extraction into a cinematic universe. Did you watch that movie?
Nope. No.
You didn't? It's actually... It's a really good action movie.
Is it good?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a really good, standalone, one-time action movie. Spoilers for Extraction. It's a Chris Hemsworth movie. Do you want to watch it? Because I won't spoil the end for you.
I do actually want to watch it, but you can spoil it because it's an action movie and I don't care if I'm
spoilers.
At the end.
This is your chance. Move, if you don't want me to spoil it for you, hit the forward 15-second button twice.
There we go.
Chris Hemsworth dies at the end of it. So how are we making this into a cinematic universe?
Oh my god.
It's fine. Like,
quit doing everything over. Just do something new.
Well, that's the thing
do something new.
Here's the thing. This was new, but we don't need more of it.
It's fine. Move on.
It was good. Let it be good on its own.
Right. I like the Russo brothers. Yeah. What are you doing? You guys, they're late. They're bored. They're like everyone else.
Let's see here.
I like the next one.
Oh, man. Taiwanese man's wife sells PlayStation 5 after she finds out he lied and said it was an air purifier. I meant to send you the link. If you do them side by side, I'm going to see if I can... Did you look it up?
I found it. Yeah, I did.
They do look strikingly...
Very similar.
Strikingly
it's
similar.
Hilarious.
Yes.
I just wish she sold it to me.
That's fair.
Come on. Come on now, lady.
I had the last 2 days... This was my experience was... I had heard that you can find these in stores in Walmart. So I started calling around, and I called my local Walmart, and they said, well, around 5 o'clock on Monday, we should have maybe 2. So I went at probably 4:30 just to be what I thought was...
Is this in the morning or in the afternoon?
In the afternoon, because the truck arrives and they unpack it. The truck arrives at like 1 or 2 or whatever, and then they unpack it. I went at what I thought was a safe time, which was 4:30. And as I'm walking in, somebody's walking out holding a PS5. And I said, do they have any more of those? He said, you got to hurry. They're scanning them in. So I ran back. Well, I didn't run, but I fast walked back to the electronics. And I said, hey, do you have any PS5s? He said, sorry, man, we sold the only 2 we had. We just sold the last one. And I said, all right, well, I mean, when do you think you might get more in? And he gets on his little, Palm Pilot scanny thing, and he says, well, we're supposed to get another truck tomorrow, and there's maybe going to be some on it. I said, well, what time? When should I show up? He's like, I mean, if you really want to be smart about it, I'd come around 11. I said, all right. So I go in. I got there probably like 11:15. Again, trying to be a little bit early. As I'm walking in, I see 2 people carrying new Xbox. So I'm thinking, this is it. I'm going to get back there.
You got it.
I got it.
I was excited for you, by the way.
So I get back there, and they said, no, we didn't. The truck didn't come. Those were actually Xboxes from yesterday's truck. So those Xboxes sat there overnight.
Oh my God.
But so I said, well, what, are you supposed to get a truck? And they said, well, the truck got delayed because the driver, blah, blah, blah. Well, we're going to have one. So then I talked to them, they said, we're going to have another date in another time. And they disclosed that to me. And just in the off chance that anybody's listening to this that lives in the area that I do, they would go to that Walmart. I'm not going to say the date or the time. But I'm like seeing them in the wild a little bit. I feel like I'm getting close. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you can smell it.
But anyway, yeah, back to this guy, Taiwanese man, wife sells PS5. I'll tell you what, that's grounds for divorce right there.
Yeah, that's it. The relationship is over if that happens. I mean, like, why does she care? Why is she so mad about it? Like, he's just. I mean, I guess like why did he lie? Number one.
Yeah, right.
I think it's like one of those things too where it's like grounds of divorce on both ends. Just say like, fair. It's not an expense. It's not in the relative scheme of things being expensive.
Sure.
Like vacuum cleaners are more expensive than the PS5 if you're getting the digital one.
It's kind of like the Pina Colada song. That if you really pay attention to the lyrics, it's about two people trying to have an affair on each other.
Right. Right. I think he was just maybe this is what he wanted. Yeah.
Game Awards presenters. Game Award presenters announced Tom Holland, Brie Larson, Stephen A. Smith, AOC, Gal Gadot, and the Swedish Chef, among others, will be presenters at the Game Awards. I would bet my life that there's going to be an Uncharted movie trailer. I don't know why. Okay, I can say Brie Larson's big in Animal Crossing, the Nintendo game. I don't know what Stephen A. Smith, Gal Gadot, or the Swedish Chef have involved. AOC, we talked about it on the one episode. She's just out there being hip and cool and young and that sort of thing, trying to get those people.
I'm sure they offered Stephen A. Smith $10 and he'll do anything for money.
Yeah, he'll just be loud about whatever the sports game is.
You know, whatever. He doesn't know any. I mean, he knows and he doesn't know, but the guy does not give a crap anymore.
Right.
And where I want to be, I'll sell out. Sell me out as soon as I can. I will literally do an ad for anything.
Yeah, well,
I do not care.
I said, Jeff, send me your invite. I'll be on the panel next year. The long-awaited Cyberpunk 2077 releases on December 10th, and the media reviews are posting at this time. CD Projekt Red game sits at an aggregate of 91 on Metacritic, and the reports are that the game is of high quality, but is laden with bugs, which is to be expected because they got delayed. The game got delayed 1,900 times. Yeah, this is like the last big game of this generation. It's from the people who made Witcher 3. It's been in development since Greg was 12, so it's been out there for a while. But I don't really have any intentions on playing this. I didn't play Witcher 3. Keanu Reeves is in it, so there's that. I'm sure people have seen those commercials with Keanu Reeves, but I mean, I know a lot of people have been waiting for this. A lot of people are excited. I hope the people that get it and play it enjoy it, that sort of thing. But I have other games on my plate at this time.
Yeah, I'm not excited. Other than just I like Keanu, but whatever.
A UK gang is stealing PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series X from No, it's been on there. I think.
It was the second page. Oh, there we go. Sorry.
A UK gang is stealing PS5s and Xbox Series S from moving delivery trucks. Fast and Furious style.
I love it.
Apparently what they're doing is boxing the trucks in. I don't want to give anybody any ideas, so please don't do this.
Yeah, don't do this if you do it.
Boxing the truck in.
If you do, give one to me, though.
Yeah, that's fair. Boxing the truck in and then getting in the back and then literally tossing the boxes out to the car behind them. Please don't do this. And that is...
Please don't, but if you do, we'll take one.
It is kind of funny, I would say. Okay, media recommendations. I see you have No One Asked for This. Is that a book?
It is.
Oh, okay.
It's Cassie David.
Leon McDuff.
Cassie David is Larry David's daughter.
Okay.
And she's very funny. She's good social media content. She's really funny. She deals with a lot of being the daughter of someone famous kind of things.
Sure.
So I really like it. I mean, I'm 3 or 4 essays in, and I really enjoy that. Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus, great. It is the content you need to watch. If you have Apple TV Plus, go ahead and watch it. You're gonna smile so much. Jason Sudeikis is great. The whole cast is it's this college football coach who comes over to coach a soccer team in England, Premier League team in England. They want him to fail, and it's just so funny. It's based off a commercial. And it's so good. I can't recommend it enough. My bosses at the pizza restaurant I worked at recommended it to me, and I watch it every night. I watch an episode every night after Janie goes to bed. It's just kind of my way to like go to sleep.
Sure.
But it doesn't put you to sleep. It's just a nice way to like end the night because it's just a night. You don't have TV shows like this anymore where it's just like a nice show that like means well. It just makes you feel good. Christmas movies. We watched The Family Stone, which is one of my favorite Christmas movies. Star Wars, kicking in the gear of that. I'm reading Elena Ferrante, going through that. It's a lot to work through. Still watching The Crown, the Diana years, which is great. My Brilliant Friend, the Elena Ferrante show on HBO 2. Really busy this week because it's Christmas and I work at places that are very busy. But I'm trying to get through stuff. It's been a good week, though. I think those recommendations, it's fun. I think all my recommendations this week are like, if you want to kind of get away from the craziness of Christmas, because it's
other than watching Christmas movies.
Well, Christmas movies are kind of a good way to get away from Christmas in a way sometimes, though, because it's like, of course you can't live up to this.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah. So don't worry about it. Just sit back and relax.
So we've been watching Christmas movies because we have small children where we have to watch like cartoon Christmas movies or whatever.
Sure.
So we've watched both the Jim Carrey version of The Grinch, and then
that's terrifying.
And then,
it's so terrifying.
And then the animated one from a year or two ago where Benedict Cumberbatch is the voice of.
Oh, it's good.
The Grinch.
That's very cute.
Yeah, and like Pharrell does the narrator or whatever. So this is where we're at with that. This is a kid story. I have a 5-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter, and my 5-year-old son says to me the other night because he wants to play Grinch. He's like, "What room in the house can I live in that's full of garbage?" And then the next thing I know, my daughter is Max. She's being Max the dog, and for about 40 minutes is walking around on all fours, and the only thing she'll say is "woof." So they're taking it to another level with playing the Grinch or whatever. And I guess at one point they found like a bag that's like Santa's bag or whatever, and she was pulling him across the floor in it, and they filled it up with all their toys from their playroom, and they were like stealing Christmas or whatever. Yeah, it's funny until you're the one that has to clean all that crap up. But
sure, yeah, I don't have to clean it up.
We that and Rudolph, and we'll probably try and get them on Elf and some of the different Christmas specials that are on Netflix that are like kid shows or whatever. So we watched a lot of that. I'm still working my way through Star Wars. I'm through the prequels, Solo, and Rogue One.
Okay.
Solo didn't go as well for me the second time through. I still liked it. I just didn't like it as much. And then Rogue One I actually liked more. So
I would say Rogue One I feel like is like a fine wine.
Yeah. If it weren't for literally the last 3 episodes of The Mandalorian, Rogue One would be the best Star Wars we've gotten since Return of the Jedi. But those 3 episodes have happened. So here we are. I'm still playing, like I'm messing around. Well, I should say I'm still, watching The Amazing Race. I think it's the season finale this week. We're looking forward to that. Challenge, baby. Starts tomorrow.
Challenge!
We have, so I'm messing around a little bit here and there with Star Wars Squadron still, Ukulele and the Impossible Lair. And then our buddy Bob Sacamano and I decided that we were going to race to see who could finish A Link to the Past first. He's playing on his Wii U and I'm playing on my Super Nintendo. He had probably a 2-hour lead on me, which is probably a good handicap for me because I don't know that he's ever played it like the whole way through, and I have the first 7 dungeons or so just sort of etched into my permanent memory files. So we're at about the same place. He feels like he's about 15 hours in. I think I'm probably like 8 or 9. So I think he'll probably beat the game before I will because I'm going to have editing and stuff to do. But I think in terms of total time, I probably got him beat on that.
It needs to be based on total time.
All right. You heard it there first.
I'm just telling you right now, it needs to be based on total time. Sorry, Bob.
Yeah.
You're one of my best friends, but that's the way things work in this world.
The last thing that I wanted to... So I have been going to the Y. There's nobody there. And so I feel fine with it, and they spray everything down and all that crap. But I've been going to the Y. I've been doing the elliptical. I've been hitting it pretty hard 3 or 4 times a week. And I found through those podcast groups that I joined, I talked about some of the podcasts that have similar content to us. And I found a really good one. It's called LAN Parties, LAN Parties, and it's a couple guys. They're out of Las Vegas, and they interview some big name people. They had on the most recent episode. They had the character. I'm going to butcher the dude's name, so I'm not going to say it. It's Daisuke something or other, but he played Jin Sakai in Ghost of Tsushima. They had Nolan North on, who plays Nathan Drake in the Uncharted series. They've had some other folks on, some big name people. They've got big media types on. They do a great job of interviewing these people, and some of the questions they ask and some of the answers they get are fascinating, and they really gives a good inside look at some of those things. I really enjoyed the episode with the Ghost of Tsushima guy because he talked about like getting into voice acting, and he's like traditionally a stage actor and things like that, so it was very different for him, and just seeing the different techniques and things that they use was really interesting. So they've got a great podcast. So if you're into nerdy stuff and you're into games, I would definitely check it out. It's called LAN Parties.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, listen to it.
So we are, like we said at the top, we've got the Star Wars episode coming up. We're going to record that on December 19th. We're going to do it all at once, but we're going to chop it into probably 3 parts. We'll see how long it goes. Maybe we'll only do 2.
It's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. We should do a thing where we have a front scroll before the episode like they do.
Yeah, but it's an audio.
But we voice over it.
No, I don't like that.
In a world. Yeah.
No. Mm-mm.
I'll see if I can find a hookup.
December 22nd, the airing of the grievances. So
get them in. I want this to be an episode. I want it to be an episode, people. Please air your grievances.
Here's the thing is, we'll probably put that in where we do like clip of the week, and we wanted to try something new, so we did the what'll the Lady Gaga cookie taste like in three words or less. It didn't. I don't think it really panned out, so we probably won't go back to that at least for a while. But we want to try some different things and see what works and what doesn't, and let us know if something works, or you like something, or you think something's not good, or it's not funny, or it doesn't work with the rest of the show, or anything like that. We like to hear from people. We want to answer questions. We like having those conversations with the audience. We're trying to build, a sense of community. I've had people tell me, you make my Friday less crappy. So we really like to hear that, and anything we can do, and we want to, help people the best we can get through this situation we have with the pandemic and all that. And I think the cool thing about our show is it's just we're having a conversation. We're not really doing any deep dive, and we're not getting. Is that a wooden spoon? What the hell are you doing?
I'm like Jalen Rose. I don't have a bat, but I got my wooden spoon. Just twirl around.
BXG podcast posts every day. Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Podcast services around the globe. Podbean, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, TuneIn, Alexa, podcast services, Stitcher, Anchor, all that crap.
Yahoo.
Nah, that's not a thing. YouTube.
Okay. No, I know it works.
YouTube, static image, pizza reviews. Oh, so I did. I wanted to. I'll wait till we're off. I want to run something by you. Okay. But please leave reviews, share. Please, trying to grow the audience. Share with your friends. Share with your enemies. Share with everybody.
Preferably your enemies. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be good.
What's going on? Yeah.
Yeah. Tell your friends.
Tell your mothers.
There it is. About the unmistakable essence of the BXG podcast. Take care. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys.
The BXG podcast is recorded in sunny Santa Barbara, California, and not so sunny Grove City, Pennsylvania. Follow Greg on Instagram at GTFills and on Twitter at GTFilson. Follow Brenton on Instagram and Twitter at WHY2BEEY2B. Follow the BXG podcast on Instagram and Twitter at BXG Podcast. For news and updates, check our Facebook page, facebook.com BXG Podcast. For questions or comments directed to the show, comment on the Facebook page or email at bxgpodcast@gmail.com.